Okay, you need to subscribe right now because I'm about to tell you about one of the most frustrating disappearances in modern history. And I mean frustrating. Not because it's unsolvable, but because almost every single person involved made the worst possible decisions at every possible turn. The disappearance of Maura Murray. And before you think you know this story, because you've seen some podcast or documentary, trust me, you don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes. February 9th, 2004. Maura Murray, 21-year-old nursing student at University of Massachusetts Amherst, crashes her car on a rural road in New Hampshire. By the time police arrive 7 minutes later, she's gone. Just gone. Vanished into thin air. And here we are, 20 years later, still trying to figure out what the hell happened. But here's the thing that's going to drive you crazy. This isn't some mysterious perfect crime. This is a case where we have a timeline. We have witnesses, we have her car, we have her belongings. We know almost exactly when she disappeared and where. And we still can't figure out what happened to her. Because the initial investigation was botched so badly. Because her family was kept in the dark. Because evidence was mishandled. Because everyone involved seemed to be working against each other instead of together. So, let's start at the beginning. Who was Maura Murray? Because that matters. That matters a lot. She wasn't some troubled runaway. She wasn't some reckless kid making bad decisions. Maura was a smart, accomplished, competitive athlete. She ran track at West Point before transferring to UMass. She was in nursing school. She had a 3.7 GPA. She had friends, family who loved her, a boyfriend. By all accounts, she was doing well. Except she wasn't. Not really. And that's where this gets complicated. In the weeks before her disappearance, Maura was struggling. Her relationship with her boyfriend Billy was rocky. He was stationed at Fort Sill in Oklahoma at the time. They'd been together for years, but the distance was hard. There were trust issues, tension, the kind of relationship stress that college students deal with all the time. But still, stress. On February 5th, 2004, 4 days before she disappeared, Maura was working her security job at UMass. She was doing homework at the desk, normal Thursday night. And then she got a phone call. And after that phone call, according to her supervisor, Maura just broke down, started sobbing. Couldn't compose herself. Her supervisor had to help her back to her dorm. What was that phone call? We don't know. Nobody knows. Maura never told anyone. Billy says he didn't call her that night. Her family doesn't know. It's just this huge question mark hanging over everything. What could have upset her so badly? What news did she receive? Was it related to her disappearance 4 days later? Or was it completely unrelated? We don't know. And that's going to be a theme here. We don't know a lot of things. February 7th, Saturday morning. Maura goes car shopping with her father Fred in Amherst. They're looking for a new car because her 1996 Saturn is having problems. They don't find anything that day. They go back to her dorm. Fred later says Maura seemed fine, normal, maybe a little stressed about school, but nothing concerning. That night, Maura goes to a party with friends, drinks, has a good time, from what people remember. Nothing unusual. She gets a ride back to her dorm around 2:30 a.m. Sunday, February 8th. This is where things start to get weird. At 3:30 a.m., barely an hour after getting back from the party, Maura is out driving her dad's Toyota. She crashes it, hits some guardrails on Route 9 near the UMass campus. It's a minor accident, nothing serious, but the car is damaged. Campus police find the car abandoned. They find Maura walking nearby. She gets a ride back to her dorm. The car is towed. Her dad's car is now damaged. And Maura, according to witnesses, seems really upset about this. Really upset. More upset than you'd expect for a minor fender bender that wasn't even her fault, really. Black ice was reported in that area. Now, some people think this accident is important. Some think it's a red herring. But what we know is that Maura was already in a fragile state. The mysterious phone call, relationship stress. Now she's crashed her dad's car. She's probably feeling overwhelmed. Monday, February 9th. This is the day. This is when everything happens. And we need to go through this chronologically because the timeline is important. The timeline is everything. Around 1 p.m., Maura sends an email to her boyfriend Billy. It's affectionate. She tells him she loves him. Nothing in that email suggests she's planning to disappear or hurt herself. It's just a normal email from a girlfriend to her deployed boyfriend. Between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m., Maura goes to 3 different ATM machines in the Amherst area. She withdraws a total of $280 in cash. This is significant because it's basically all the money in her account. Why does she need that much cash? Where is she planning to go? Around 2:30 p.m., Maura calls a condo rental place in Bartlett, New Hampshire. Bartlett is in the White Mountains, a popular ski area. Her family used to vacation there. She asks about renting a condo. The person she speaks to says there's nothing available. Maura thanks them and hangs up. Around 2:45 p.m., Maura goes online and looks up directions to the Berkshires and to Burlington, Vermont. She's searching for vacation destinations. She's clearly planning to go somewhere. A trip. Getting away for a few days. Around 3:30 p.m., Maura sends an email to her work supervisor saying there's been a death in her family and she'll be out for a week. There was no death in her family. This is a complete fabrication. Why does she lie? Is she just making an excuse to get out of work while she takes this trip? Or is there something more sinister going on? She also emails her professors with a similar story. Family emergency. She'll be gone for a week. Again, completely false. Around 4 p.m., Maura packs up her dorm room. And I don't mean she throws some clothes in a bag. She packs. She boxes up her textbooks, her photos, her belongings. She essentially clears out her room. She takes the photos off the walls. She packs all her toiletries. This is not packing for a weekend trip. This is packing like you're moving out. Her roommate isn't there. Nobody sees her do this. But when her roommate comes back later, the room is noticeably emptier. Around 4:37 p.m., Maura's phone receives a call from Billy. It goes to voicemail. She doesn't answer. Billy leaves a message. Later, this will be important because it helps establish her timeline. Sometime between 4:00 and 5:00 p.m., Maura stops at a liquor store. She buys $40 worth of alcohol. Vodka, Bailey's, Kahlua, wine. A lot of alcohol for one person for a weekend trip. The cashier will later say Maura seemed normal, not upset or distressed. So now she's got cash, alcohol, a car full of her belongings, and she's heading north. She gets on Route 91 north. She's driving her damaged Saturn, the one that's been having problems, and she's heading toward the White Mountains in New Hampshire. At approximately 7:27 p.m., Maura crashes, Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. A sharp corner called the Weathered Barn Curve. It's dark, it's cold, there's snow on the ground. Her car goes off the road, hits some trees, comes to rest facing the wrong direction. A local school bus driver named Butch Atwood is heading home. He sees the accident. He stops. He gets out and walks over to the car. Maura is in the driver's seat. He asks if she's okay, if she needs help. She tells him she's fine. She's already called Darwa, which is a lie because her cell phone had no service in that area. Butch can tell she's shaken up. He offers to call the police for her. She says no, she's fine, she doesn't need the police. Butch, being a good citizen, doesn't listen to her. He goes home, which is right across the street, and calls 911. It's 7:27 p.m. when he makes the call. While Butch is gone, a couple who lives nearby, the Westmans, they also see the accident. They call 911 at 7:27 p.m. as well. They report a car off the road. They say they saw someone moving around the car with a flashlight or a phone. They can't tell if it's a man or a woman from that distance. So we've got 2 911 calls within minutes. We've got multiple witnesses who saw the car, saw Maura. This is all documented. This all happened. The Haverhill police respond. Sergeant Cecil Smith is the first officer on scene. He arrives at approximately 7:35 to 7:37 p.m. That's 7 to 9 minutes after the initial 911 call. 7 to 9 minutes. When Sergeant Smith arrives, the car is there. The engine is still warm. The airbags have deployed. There's a wine box in the back that has leaked all over the car. The doors are locked. And Maura is gone. Just gone. In less than 10 minutes, between the time Butch Atwood left her and the time the police arrived, Maura Murray vanished. And here's where you need to understand something. This is a rural road in the middle of nowhere. It's February in New Hampshire. It's dark. It's cold. There's snow on the ground. The nearest house is Butch Atwood's, which is right there. The nearest town is miles away. There's nothing around. Just woods and darkness and cold. Where could she have gone in 7 minutes? How far could she have gotten in 7 minutes in those conditions? And more importantly, why did she run? If you're not subscribed yet, do it now because this is where it gets really frustrating. This is where the investigation starts to fall apart. Sergeant Smith searches the immediate area. He looks in the woods near the car. He walks up and down the road. Nothing. No footprints in the snow leading away from the car. No signs of Maura. He calls in the accident. Reports the car abandoned. He has the car towed to a local garage. And that's it. That's the extent of the initial response. No search dogs, no roadblocks, no Amber Alert. Just a report of an abandoned vehicle and a young woman who walked away from a crash. Now, in Sergeant Smith's defense, at this point, he doesn't know Maura is missing. He thinks she walked away to avoid a DUI. She'd been drinking, the wine box spilled in the car, she probably smelled like alcohol. Young college student, damaged car, alcohol involved. In his mind, she probably hitched a ride or walked to a nearby house to avoid getting arrested. But here's the thing. Butch Atwood told him someone was at the crash. The Westmans told him someone was there. Multiple witnesses confirmed a young woman was just there minutes before. And nobody thought to immediately start searching? Nobody thought to call in search and rescue? Nobody thought this might be urgent? It's now around 8:00 p.m. Maura has been missing for about 30 minutes. Her car is at a garage. The police have filed a report, and nobody is actively looking for her. Around 10:00 p.m., Maura's family starts getting worried. Billy hasn't been able to reach her. Her dad Fred tries calling. No answer. They don't know about the crash yet. They just know she's not answering her phone, which is unusual. The next morning, February 10th, the university realizes Maura is missing. She didn't show up for class, didn't show up for work. Her professors got those emails about the family emergency, but something feels off. They contact campus police. Campus police contact Haverhill police. Hey, we have a missing student, Maura Murray. Last known location was heading toward New Hampshire yesterday. And Haverhill police say, oh yeah, we have her car, found it abandoned last night on Route 112. And that's when everyone realizes This isn't just a college student skipping class. This is a missing person. Fred Murray, Maura's dad, he drops everything and drives to New Hampshire. Gets there late on February 10th. And he is pissed. Absolutely furious. Because more than 24 hours have passed since his daughter disappeared, and nobody is actively searching. No search dogs have been brought in. No grid search of the woods. Nothing. He starts demanding action. He talks to the police. He talks to the media. He starts organizing his own searches. And the police, they're resistant. They tell him Maura probably just ran away. She's an adult. She can go where she wants. She'll turn up. She's probably off somewhere needing space. And Fred is like, my daughter crashed her car in the middle of nowhere in February and vanished. She's not on a vacation. Something happened to her. But the police don't seem to take it seriously. At least not at first. And every hour that passes, the trail gets colder. Literally. It's snowing. Any footprints or evidence in the woods is getting covered up. Any scent trail for search dogs is disappearing. It's not until February 11th, 2 days after the crash, that they bring in a search dog. 2 days. And the dog tracks Maura's scent from her car about 100 yards east along Route 112. And then the scent just stops. Right there on the road. Like she vanished into thin air or got into a vehicle. That's the working theory that starts to develop. She got into a car, either she hitched a ride, or someone picked her up, or someone abducted her. Because there's no other explanation. She couldn't have walked far in those conditions. She would have been found, so she must have gotten into a vehicle. But whose vehicle? And was it voluntary or forced? Let's talk about the tandem driver theory. This is a big one. Some people believe Maura was traveling with someone else that night. That there was a second vehicle. That she crashed. The second driver picked her up. And they left together. Evidence for this. Why would Maura drive all the way to New Hampshire alone in a damaged car? Why would she pack up her entire dorm room for a weekend trip? Why did she lie to her professors and employer? Maybe she was planning to run away with someone. A secret boyfriend. A friend. Someone. Evidence against this. No witness saw a second vehicle. The Westmans were looking out their window before and after the crash. Butch Atwood drove past right after. Nobody reported seeing another car stop or pick anyone up. If there was a tandem driver, they were incredibly stealthy. Then there's the local dirtbag theory. Sorry, that's what it's called in the true crime community. The idea that Maura was picked up by someone local, someone who saw a vulnerable young woman on the side of the road and took advantage. This is New Hampshire, rural area. Lots of people with questionable backgrounds living in the woods. And there is one person who always comes up in this discussion. I'm not going to name him because he's never been charged with anything, and he deserves that much. But there was a local man who lived near the crash site. Had a history of violence against women. Was known to prowl around in his car at night. Multiple people have pointed to him as a possible suspect. The police have investigated him. Multiple times. They've searched his property. They've interviewed him. And as far as we know publicly, they haven't found any evidence connecting him to Maura's disappearance. But people still suspect him. The internet has basically convicted him in the court of public opinion. Is that fair? I don't know. On one hand, if he did it, he should be held accountable. On the other hand, if he didn't do it, his life has been ruined by speculation and accusations. That's the dark side of true crime interest. People playing detective, pointing fingers, making accusations based on hunches. Here's what we know for sure. Maura's case attracted very little media attention initially. It took her family fighting to get coverage. Fred Murray was on the phone with every news station, every newspaper, begging them to cover his daughter's disappearance. And most of them ignored him. Because in 2004, a missing college-aged woman wasn't news, unless she was white, pretty, and from a wealthy family. And even then, it was hit or miss. It wasn't until a few weeks later that the media started paying attention. And by then, the trail was ice cold. Any evidence that might have existed was long gone. Let's talk about what they found in her car, because this is important. This gives us clues about her state of mind, her plans, what she was thinking. They found a book called Not Without Peril about people who died in the White Mountains. Morbid, right? She was reading about deaths in the exact area she was driving through. Some people think this is significant. Others think it's just a coincidence. She liked hiking. It's a popular book in that region. They found directions printed from MapQuest, directions to the Berkshires, to Burlington, multiple possible destinations. Like she couldn't decide where to go. They found alcohol, the vodka, Bailey's, wine box. Most of it was still in the car, so she wasn't drinking and driving extensively. The wine box had spilled in the crash, but the other bottles were intact. They found no cell phone. Maura's cell phone has never been recovered. Was it with her when she left the car? Did someone take it? Is it buried in the woods somewhere? We don't know. They found a rag stuffed in the tailpipe. This is weird. Why was there a rag in the tailpipe? Fred Murray later said he'd put it there when he was helping Maura with her car issues a few days before. Some people think it's evidence of suicide, that she was trying to asphyxiate herself with carbon monoxide. Others think it's just a rag that Fred put there for completely innocent mechanical reasons. The police tested it and found no evidence it had been used for carbon monoxide poisoning. They found AA forms and insurance information in the car. Normal stuff you'd keep in your glove compartment. What they didn't find, any note, any message, any indication of where she was going or why. No suicide note. No I'm running away note. Nothing. So what was Maura's plan? The most logical explanation based on the evidence is that she was taking a few days off. Escaping. She was stressed about school, her relationship, crashing her dad's car. She needed a break. She lied to get out of her obligations, withdrew cash, packed her stuff, bought alcohol, and headed to the White Mountains to drink and think and get away from everything. The packing up her dorm room is weird, but maybe she was just organizing. Maybe she was thinking about moving back home. Maybe she was going through a depressive episode, and packing felt like taking control of something. College students do weird things when they're stressed. The crash was accidental. She was driving an unfamiliar route in the dark, in winter conditions, in a car that was already damaged. She crashed. And then she panicked. She'd already been in an accident 2 days before. She'd probably been drinking. She was far from home. She was scared. When Butch Atwood showed up, she lied and said she'd called Derby Pretty A because she didn't want to deal with police. And when he left to call 911 anyway, she made a decision. She was going to run. Avoid the police. Avoid a DUI. Avoid more trouble. So she grabbed her phone, maybe a few things from the car, and she started walking. She walked down Route 112. And someone picked her up. Maybe a good Samaritan. Maybe a predator. But someone stopped, and she got in the car. And that was it. That was the last anyone saw of Maura Murray. That's the most logical explanation based on the evidence. But it doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain why no one came forward. If someone picked her up innocently, gave her a ride, dropped her off somewhere, why didn't they come forward when the news broke that she was missing? Even if they didn't want to get involved, even if they were worried about being implicated, you'd think basic human decency would make them call in a tip. Hey, I picked up a young woman on Route 112 that night. Dropped her off at a motel in Lincoln. She seemed fine. But nobody has come forward. Nobody has called. Nobody has provided any information about what happened to Maura after she left that crash site. Make sure you're subscribed because I need to tell you about the family drama, the conspiracy theories, and just how deep this case goes. Fred Murray, Maura's dad, he never gave up. Never. From day one until his death in 2019, he was fighting for answers, organizing searches, pressuring police, doing media interviews. He was relentless, but his relationship with the police was rocky. He accused them of not doing enough, of not taking the case seriously, of botching the investigation. And honestly, he wasn't wrong about some of that. The initial response was inadequate. The delay in bringing search dogs, the failure to secure the crash scene, the lack of urgency. But Fred also did some things that made the investigation harder. He was combative. He was suspicious of everyone. He accused multiple people of being involved without evidence. He went on the attack in media interviews. And while I understand his frustration, while I understand a father desperately trying to find his daughter, it sometimes hurt more than it helped. There were searches, massive searches. The family organized volunteer searches. Police did official searches. They searched the woods around the crash site. They searched abandoned buildings. They brought in cadaver dogs. They searched along the rivers and streams, thinking maybe she fell in and drowned or died of hypothermia. Nothing. No body, no clothing, no phone, no evidence. It's like Maura vanished into another dimension. In 2009, a contractor found a knife near the crash site. It was tested. No connection to Maura. Over the years, there have been dozens of false sightings. Someone saw a woman matching Maura's description in Canada, in Texas, in a dozen different states. Every single one was investigated. Every single one led nowhere. There have been psychics. Oh God, the psychics. People claiming they had visions of where Maura is. People dowsing with rods. People doing tarot readings. All nonsense. All cruel to give the family false hope. And the conspiracy theories. So many conspiracy theories. Let me run through some of them. Theory 1. Maura was running away to start a new life. She planned this whole thing. She's alive somewhere living under a new identity. Evidence. The packed dorm room, the withdrawn cash, the lies about the family emergency. She was preparing to disappear. Counter-evidence. She left her car behind. She left her belongings. She had no experience with creating a false identity. How would a 21-year-old nursing student successfully disappear and stay hidden for 20 years? It doesn't make sense. Theory 2. Maura was pregnant and ran away because she couldn't handle it. This rumor started because someone claimed they heard she might have been pregnant. There's zero evidence for this. Her family denies it. Her friends deny it. No autopsy was ever performed because no body was ever found, so we can't confirm or deny. But there's no actual evidence she was pregnant. Theory 3. Maura was involved in a drug ring or witness protection or some elaborate criminal enterprise. This one is completely baseless. There's no evidence Maura was involved in anything illegal beyond normal college student drinking. Theory 4. The police know what happened and are covering it up. Maybe Maura was picked up by a police officer. Maybe that officer assaulted her or killed her. Maybe there's a massive cover-up. Evidence. The mishandled investigation. Some weird inconsistencies in police statements. Counter-evidence. This would require a massive conspiracy involving multiple agencies and officers. Someone would have talked by now. Conspiracies this big don't stay hidden for 20 years. Theory 5. The local dirtbag I mentioned earlier did it, and the police just can't prove it. This is probably the most plausible of the theories if we're assuming foul play. But plausible doesn't mean proven. And the police have investigated this person extensively. Here's what I think happened. And this is just my opinion based on the evidence. I think Maura was depressed. Not suicidal necessarily, but struggling. The phone call on February 5th triggered something. Maybe bad news from Billy. Maybe news from home. Something that made her feel like she needed to escape. She made a plan to get away for a few days. She lied to get out of her obligations. She packed up her room, maybe intending to sort through her stuff when she got back, or maybe contemplating not coming back. She withdrew cash because she knew she'd need it. She bought alcohol because she was planning to drink and think and be alone. She drove to New Hampshire with the vague idea of going to the White Mountains, a place she'd been before with her family. A place with good memories. She was driving at night in bad conditions in a car that was already damaged. She crashed. She panicked. She'd already been in one accident. She'd been drinking. She didn't want to face the consequences. She left the scene on foot, and within those 7 to 10 minutes before police arrived, someone stopped. Maybe a trucker, maybe a local, maybe someone who seemed friendly and helpful. She got in the car, and something bad happened. Maybe the person who picked her up had good intentions initially, but then things went wrong. Maybe it was someone who specifically targeted her. Maybe she was killed. Maybe she's buried in the woods somewhere. Maybe her body is in a place that's never been searched. Or maybe, and this is the saddest possibility, maybe she died of exposure. Maybe she didn't get into a car. Maybe she wandered into the woods, got disoriented, got lost, and died of hypothermia. And her body is out there somewhere, hidden by snow and time and undergrowth, and we just haven't found it yet. The problem with the hypothermia theory is the search dogs. They tracked her scent to the road, and then it stopped. That suggests she got into a vehicle. Not that she wandered into the woods, but search dogs aren't infallible. Maybe the scent trail was contaminated. Maybe the weather affected it. Maybe the dog just lost the trail. We don't know. That's the frustrating answer to almost every question about this case. We don't know. What we do know is that Maura Murray disappeared on February 9th, 2004. She was 21 years old. She was a nursing student. She was someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's girlfriend. She had a whole life ahead of her. And something happened that night that took all of that away. Her family deserves answers. Her friends deserve answers. Maura deserves justice, whatever form that takes. The case is still open. The New Hampshire State Police still work on it. They still take tips. They still follow leads when they come in. In 2017, they searched a house. In 2019, they excavated a basement. Nothing. Always nothing. Fred Murray died in 2019 without ever knowing what happened to his daughter. He spent 15 years searching, fighting, hoping, and he died without answers. That's heartbreaking. That's the real tragedy here. Not just that Maura disappeared, but that her family had to live with that uncertainty, that lack of closure, for years and years. Her sister Julie is still out there advocating, still trying to get answers, still keeping Maura's name in the public consciousness. Because the worst thing that can happen to a missing person is being forgotten. When people stop talking about them, stop searching for them, stop caring, that's when cases go cold forever. So here's what you can do. If you were in New Hampshire on February 9th, 2004, if you were driving on Route 112 that night, If you saw anything, anything at all, call the New Hampshire State Police, even if it seems insignificant, even if you think someone else already reported it. Call. If you live in New Hampshire or Massachusetts and you hear rumors, if someone you know made weird comments around that time about picking up a hitchhiker or seeing something on Route 112, report it, even if it's probably nothing. Let the police decide if it's nothing. And if you're watching this video, if you're interested in true crime, subscribe. Share this. Keep Maura's story alive. Because somewhere out there, someone knows something. Maybe they don't know they know. Maybe they saw something that didn't seem important at the time, but could be crucial now. Maybe they heard something from someone who's since died. Maybe there's information out there that just hasn't connected yet. 20 years is a long time. People's memories fade. People move away. People die. Evidence degrades. The chances of solving this case decrease with every passing year. But it's not impossible. Cold cases get solved all the time. Sometimes it takes new technology. Sometimes it takes someone finally coming forward with information. Sometimes it just takes looking at old evidence with fresh eyes. Maura Murray deserves to be found. Her family deserves answers. And if something criminal happened to her, the person responsible deserves to be held accountable. This isn't entertainment. This isn't a puzzle for us to solve from our couches. This is a real person who disappeared. A real family who's been destroyed by not knowing. A real tragedy that's been compounded by time and mystery. So subscribe if you haven't. Share this video. Keep talking about Maura Murray. Don't let her become just another statistic. Don't let her story fade away. And if you know something, anything, please come forward. It's never too late to do the right thing. I'll see you in the next one. And I really hope someday we'll have answers about what happened to Maura Murray. I hope her family gets closure. I hope she's found. I hope there's justice. But until then, all we can do is keep her memory alive and keep hoping that someday someone will tell the truth about what happened on Route 112 on February 9th, 2004.